This video is brought to you by none other than Hire Heroes, you guys. Hire Heroes is your one-stop shop when it comes to virtual staffing and making sure that you have qualified talent with your business. One thing that I love about Hire Heroes, you guys, is they've actually gone through the process already of vetting and making sure that your staff member is well trained to best fit your needs. Whether you need help with social media work, posting things on your accounts, responding to people that send messages to your social media accounts, whether you need help with data entry or a multitude of other things that they're qualified to do, Hire Heroes has got you covered. If you're having trouble finding quality talent and number two, affording to be able to run payroll for that talent, Hire Heroes has got you covered with an affordable alternative to have a virtual assistant working for your business. There's a link down in the description of this video to where you can learn more about getting your own VA through Hire Heroes. I certainly recommend it. They're what we use in our business for all of our virtual assistant needs, and you will want to make sure that you check them out today. Hey, what's up, guys? Christian Brindle here, and I am back with another video, doing a video with somebody doing big things in our space. And I'm honestly here with somebody who is no stranger to the channel. He's been on several times at this point, but the content is always fantastic. The material is always next level. I'm here with my good friend, Andrew Lee, out of California, LA area. Andrew, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. It's the day after the 4th, energized, ready to take on the rest of the year. And I'm always good. What about you, Christian Brindle?
I'm great. I'm great. Like one of my early mentors in the business told me one time, there's no bad days in the business. And while I don't believe him, I kind of think he's full of shit. But I think he's 90% correct. I think there's very few bad days in this business. That would be my adjusted version of it. So I'm fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah, you just look at your bank account and you're like, hey, I'm fine. Another day, a lot of money.
So I'm gonna give you a quick introduction for anybody that might not be familiar with you. Andrew is a 32-year-old agent. He's been in the business for 9 years now. He's encompassed a book of business of multiple thousand members, which is a very, very tough thing to do. And Andrew's been on top producer trips. You know, he's been a top producer in multiple different facets. He just got back from the Manhattan Life top producer trip in his own right, where he was hanging out with the best of the best, top 1% in the industry. And today what I really want to do is give the audience a chance to really learn from you, to be able to kind of duplicate some of the results that you've been able to get, specifically also tailored to California centric, because California is such a unique market. And I don't think there's anybody that's doing the level of, having the level of impact on California insurance agents as like you are. So I want to kind of keep it centric to California because I think it's such a unique place. Give us a little bit of Andrew Lee's introduction. Like, how did you get into the business? Tell us a little bit about your story and kind of what got you to where you are right now.
Yeah. So, I was born and raised in Los Angeles. That's where I'm at now. That's where I'm based. And, just like everybody else, I didn't really want to do insurance. You just stumble upon it or somebody recruits you. So I was actually doing door-to-door sales for quite a couple of years, actually, which, when you're younger, it's dog years. So a couple of years seems like 4 years. But yeah, probably like 2 years. And I ended up so I was selling door-to-door to Dish Network. I was traveling all over the place, Texas, Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, you name it. And I was knocking on your door, right? And I got pretty good at that and got promoted up to manager. And, I did that and I was like, well, this just isn't long-term for me, right? So I went back home and I was, on Indeed or whatever it is, just trying to look for a sales job somewhere and just, sell something, right? And then I get a call from my roommate my neighbor from my old apartments in college. And he's like, hey, I know you like San Diego. Do you want to live here? I'm like, yeah, what's going on over there? And they're like, hey, so my friend's opening up this insurance shop. And, I know you do sales and, all you need to get is your license and, we'll take care of the rest. You want to come down? I'm like, well, I have no job. I'm working out every day. I'm just like being that sort of like a bum. So yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And they're like, yeah, it's gonna be 6 figures if you do okay. I'm like, yeah, let's do it, right? So what did I do, like 110 my first year as an LOA, getting paid 30%. So did a math on that.
Yeah, that's a
And
lot of enrollments.
yeah. And from there, I went into the PNC world for a bit after that. Company actually got out of business. And guys, go ads earned, don't do chargebacks. And went into PNC for a bit, and then I'm like, well, I'm gonna start my own dojo. I'm gonna do my own thing, and scratched and clawed for every single lead I can get, and then everything snowballed, and met the right people, and then partnered up with the right people, and here I am years later, talking to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I think for me, well, here's one thing that I notice, right? And I wanted to I really want the audience to have a chance to understand like the level of producer that you've been, over the course of your career. Like you're building this California insurance agents group now. You're starting to work with agents and pass along what you know to them to try to help them duplicate the success that you've been able to have, right? As a just an absolutely, dynamic producer in the space. And it seems to me, this is just my perception, that there are people out there in the space that don't seem to quite understand the level of producer that Andrew Lee is. And what I wanted to kind of shine some light on, is like just to really, because you're not somebody that's super braggadocious. That's part of it too. Some of these got people like the only reason people know that they're great producers because they're telling everybody every day online that they're a great producer. But you're very humble, about it, and and your results and everything like that. And so, like, I just wanted to kind of really shine some light on some of that. Like, you are a bundling master. You are a top producer. You have thousands of clients in your book. You've gone on multiple top producer trips in Manhattan Life. That's not easy to do. Do you feel like do you feel like this has just been my perception of the online world? Do you feel like sometimes the people that are the quietest on, online in terms of like being braggadocious, sometimes they're the biggest killers?
Yeah, yeah. I'm happy you brought that up. You never know who's a killer or not these days.
Yes.
Amongst the quiet people, amongst the loud people, you can sort of tell. And, I'll post that I went on the trip just to motivate other agents. It's not to, be braggadocious or anything like that. That's just to be like, hey, if I can do it, literally out of all people, if I can do it, then you 1000% can, because so and so, you're smarter than me. So and so, you have better, I wouldn't say work ethic, but you have like a better like compartmentalizing brain that can organize time and just crank out a bunch of stuff. You can do it, You new agent, if you just have to drive, or if you have more money than time, and you can, have like a lead system, and you can do it too. I've seen a lot of first year agents qualify for this trip. I met them actually the last time around. So I do that to encourage. And, one of the cool things about going on those trips is everybody's a wealth of knowledge. Nobody is not going to share with you. So everybody just wants to share, just wants you to do good, because they see they see you and themselves, or, that's just what it is over there, right? I mean, if you're on a carrier trip, everybody's doing well, so why not lift each other up? So that's why I like that kind of situation where there's just nothing, expected back. And, I do sort of do the same thing with my group, right? I'll post a bunch of cool, content, and I'll post, put a poll. Hey, what do you guys want to learn today? What's like really struggling in your business? Whatever that poll is. I think last week it was grassroots marketing. I'll make a quick video on it and share what I know, because that's the right thing to do. And because other people have done that for me, right? And let me shout out, the Joanna Whitecops. When I first got into the industry, she helped me. She gave me like, good pointers when I just wasn't, I had no brain for anything. Rebecca Davis was always good to me. Christian, when I found you, whoa, that was a game changer for Medicare. And, even the Justin Brocks, right? I mean, I got to give it to him, man. His program also really did a number for me in terms of me being a better agent. So you meet people along the way too. It's not just a one-man show. It's a tribe, right? So
Yep.
I'm, still to this day flabbergasted that, I'm working with you in some capacity as well too. And we get to hang out and be buds. That's just really crazy to me. So the industry has been really, really good to me because I've been good to it. In my opinion, I've hustled, I've done everything the correct way, I've treated people correctly, and that's just the way to do things. And, you're going to get rewarded for that.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's no cheating the hustle. There's no cheating the work, and I think anybody that's, kind of risen to the point where they're a top performer in the industry and they're doing really well, I think everybody, at the top of the food chain in that regard will acknowledge that, like, there's a lot of hard work and a lot of BS you got to overcome, especially in the early years to kind of establish yourself and kind of get to the point where you're really doing well. What I would ask you is, like, if there's anybody that's watching this that's a brand new agent and they're like, I'd love, Andrew Lee, top producer, large book of business, really, really good salesperson, really good sales agent, being able to spit a lot of production, leader now in the space in the California market. How do I get to where he is at? What are some things you can share that, like, if there's a new agent watching that they really need to get? Like, what are some things they absolutely need to have down that's like going to be the difference from them becoming an Andrew Lee or maybe becoming somebody that we never hear their name and they just don't make it?
Yeah. And this is a huge topic that I've been talking about in my group as well too. It's just the odds are against us, right? 1 out of 10 of us make it. And even out of that 1 out of 10, people are still semi-struggling financially, right? So what I would say is, in order for you to be a top agent, you've got to have a burn all ships mentality and know that this is your life. This is going to be your hobby. This is going to be your everything. This is your baby. This is, everything. And here's the thing with our industry, the barrier entry is so low. It's just you can scrap up $4,000 and spend some on leads and maybe a CRM, a Google. You can get an Excel spreadsheet if you want. And because of because of that low investment, people tend to leave the industry faster because it was such a low barrier in. It's not that much skin off their back out. So you need that mentality where it's burn all ships. I'm going to promise myself that I'm going to dial X amount every day when you first start. I'm going to do, plan out your goals and make sure you stick to them, and that's going to be the difference between somebody that kills it and doesn't. It's just somebody that wants it more. It's work ethic, but it's also desire. It's also your why. It's also, what you envision for the future for yourself. If you don't have all that in place, then you're gonna just think of yourself nearsighted, and you're just gonna, sell a couple policies, take the week off, and then, oh, AEP's coming up, or open enrollment's coming up. Okay, great. I'm gonna do some here, and then just sort of go back to floating on whatever else they're doing instead of completely being serious about it. Christian Brindle serious about this. I'm serious about this. Everybody that's a killer is serious about what they do, and they strive to be better for themselves. And by doing that, you come up with the ideas as to how you can get better, right? When you first come into the industry, of course, if you don't have a mentor, which I didn't coming in, I was just doing what I do. So I just came in and I was like, all right, I'm going to figure this out. And I had the, not so much the know-how how to figure it out, but I had the drive to figure it out. I need to figure this out or I can't eat. I need to figure this out or the quality of my life is just not where it's going to be. And I'm going to be, I don't want to say the D word, like Shaq always says, depressed or whatever, but I don't want to be down on myself. I want to be a winner. I want to succeed at something. And it gives you adrenaline, it gives you endorphins, and you're doing the right thing and you're making money, like you're providing for your family. Like what other better experience is there out there than to do that? So that's sort of my mentality. But of course, you got to show up every day. If you sell one a day, one policy a day of whatever you guys do, you're going to be on a good, trajectory, right? And just the one a day, that should be everybody's motto, and stick with it. If you get lazy, that's on you. Let's like workshop how we're gonna, handle our laziness. Is it because you have like other interests that, is it just, hey, I got burned on the phone and I can't get back on the phone because I don't know what to say to the next person? Is it like, what is making you lose, then you fix that. Then again, you go through that first year, make sure that you are, you always have your goals in mind, and just know that this is a marathon, not a sprint. Then you start, coming into that mentality, and everything sort of starts working out, because then you start networking with other people. More people know your name. There's just more that happens with you just not quitting.
Yeah.
That's the secret sauce.
Yeah.
Hard work.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think you hit it right on the head. I think it's pushing forward, and I think Alex Hormozy said it best. It's becoming extraordinary is doing ordinary things an extraordinary amount of times.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly it. It's that repetition. It's showing up every day and doing what you need to do to be able to get new clients, and not being lazy, not being like, okay, I'm going to start tomorrow, any of that stuff. And I think that is very true. I think another thing that I think the audience would love to hear from you is, like, you have been really, really successful at cross-selling. You've done extremely well at selling dental plans, cancer plans, and things like that. What are some ways that, like, you got really good at kind of positioning those extra products to kind of be part of that protection plan for your clients, and you're able to kind of get a lot of them to kind of see that? What are some things that people can do to cross-sell better?
Gotcha. Okay. So let's say, well, I'll keep this broad actually, and then maybe I'll get into specifics. But the number one way to cross-sell somebody is, I don't know if there's any statistics on it, so I'm going to make it up just off of my own, putting my 10,000 hours in. I would say, 75% of the sales, if you cross-sell, are going to be a one call close kind of deal. Or if it's a follow-up, you gotta close that cross-sell with the original product in the same call. Because if it drops off, it's hard to introduce that bundle individually if it's a different phone call. For example, let's say you have a Medicare, maybe this might not be a good example. Okay, so let's say like a ACA policy, right? So if you are gonna sell a, whatever it is, a Blue Cross Blue Shield of whatever state, and that premium is gonna be whatever, $70 a month, then what you would do is you would tack on what it would be for, the cancer policy, let's say, for example, right? And with that cancer plan, what you're going to do is fully explain what that plan does and how it correlates with, let's say, their out-of-pocket maximum, right? Because mathematically, the cross-sell has to make sense for the client, especially if you're selling them something. I mean, insurance is invisible, but then again, these cancer plans, these supplemental plans, are super invisible, right? There's like some people haven't even heard of that or never even had those kind of plans. So it's your job to educate them, and once you do that, they're gonna actually thank you. You're not cross-selling, you're protecting them. That's how the frame should be, as opposed to you just tacking something on. You got to really explain how much is going to be covered. So let's say if your out-of-pocket maximum for a certain plan was $7,000, you got to get them a cancer plan that's going to cover them at $7,000 or more. If they have a surplus, then you got to explain to them, hey, if you get that check, it's a lump sum, and the rest of it you could use for paycheck protection if you're in the hospital. Pay your bills with it. Get some groceries. Whatever you have to do. Mortgage. I mean, I'm sure the mortgage, if it's not that much of a difference, the mortgage is pretty high these days, especially in California. But just frame it. Just frame it like that, and let them know mathematically how it makes sense to their current policy. And once they have that ingrained, then tell a story, right? Stories are going to be your strongest ally in sales, especially if you're really on the fence of trying to get somebody into a policy. You tell a story. Stories sell, features tell. So if you tell that story, right? So for example, I had a client, this is a true story, by the way, you guys can use this. It's a little weird if you do, switch up the name, switch up the story. But, I had a client that, she was young, actually. She was like 24 years old. and she had a bronze plan through Kaiser. And I did explain that cancer policy, and she was sort of, I'm 24, this is not really applying to me, that kind of attitude towards it. But I'm like, hey, God forbid you're ever in a situation, and I know that cancer can happen, more often later, but at the very least now have all the coverage you need, because I don't want that phone call saying, hey, what do I do? I have cancer right now. Like, what do I do? I just don't know how to handle that phone call when I've explained this to them and now they want to get on it, but now they can't because they won't pass underwriting. Then I feel super bad. So it's my job to let them know, hey, I gotta get you this. I've seen way too many people out there. I have to get you this. So I got her the policy. I got her cancer policy. It's at 10K, $10,000. The out-of-pocket maximum was 8,200. So what did she do? She used the rest of that money to so she went to Arizona and she was on Medicaid there because she qualified, because the income's a little bit lower, qualifications are lower there. So she qualified for Medicaid, but she also had that supplement, and they paid her out 10K, and they're like, oh crap, I actually got the 10K check. And then they used that thousand whatever left over to move right next to the facility, to move her mom next to the facility so she can help her out. So I will tell stories like that, right? I will tell them, hey, and then she actually called me. She's like, I'm so happy you sold me that policy. I know I was sort of, again, this is literally a client's testimonial. Anybody that you do well with in terms of explaining all the features and cross-selling, they're going to thank you, because no other agents do this. They're too scared to do this. They're scared to lose their primary policy. So they don't go over the cross-selling options. And then what happens? Now you have a hole in your policy. Just an ACA policy, a plan G is not an end-all be-all, right? You still got to pay the 203 deductible, and you still need to add a dental policy to it, right? If you already did your drug plan, cross-sell the dental. How do you do that? Well, let them know, hey, this is going to be the full rate with dental. Is that okay with you? Might as well get it now, because if you're going to get that implant later, you need to get the extraction with this company first. It's called the missing tooth clause. So you just got to know your stories. You just got to know your products and explain it to them logically, like, hey, you need to get this now because we need to get that first done. If you need to get an extraction, we need to get the implant out with the same company. So yes, this is going to be your full total with the dental in it. All right, how's that sound? Is that okay with you? Okay, great. Sign them up, right? So always ask, don't be scared, because the perception is people think that if you cross-sell them on something, it's not cross-selling, you're adding benefits. It's like, it's not more like you want fries with that. It's more like you actually need that. You actually need this kind of coverage, but because look at the exposure, look at the out-of-pocket maximum. So, you just have to make it make sense to them, because it makes sense to me. So you just have to really, get them on the same level and just know the importance of these products, because it's not just for nothing. It's going to cover everything that, you don't have right now. So it's a necessity, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was golden. I think there's too much of fear of agents. Exactly what you said. They're afraid to lose their primary policy, right? Whether that's an ACA app, whether that's a Medicare Advantage app, whether that's MedSup app, whatever it is, they're so scared to lose that primary policy that they don't even go down that road, of making sure that the person is covered in all areas, and in the most important ways where they might be left exposed. I think that's absolutely huge. I want to talk a little bit about California. I think because there's a lot of agents that are going to watch this that are in California. Maybe they're in California and they're new agents. Maybe they just got their license, whatever the case might be. What are some ways what are some things somebody needs to pay attention to working in California versus maybe some other markets? Like, what are some of the keys in your mind to being successful in California, and how some things you have to pay attention to that like are unique to that market, right? Because it is a very unique market.
Yeah, no, that's a great question too. So the first thing that I would come up with is, California is a niche in itself. Let's think about it like that. Okay. So let's say if you guys sell in the other states, California is a niche, in my opinion, because some people don't want to sell in California. So we are the agents that are willing to do so. So that's our niche, right? That's an automatic quick niche right there. right? Now, because of the perceived, non-commissioned, or, if you're a PNC agent, the homeowner's insurance situation is a little weird right now. The PNC side is a little bit struggling a little bit if they didn't pivot somehow. So I would say just being a great agent in California is finding your niche, because I really doubled down on the California niche. I tripled down on it, right? And while you do that, I mean, if you're part of California is huge, right? So you got Orange County, you got LA. I mean, Southern California alone is huge. You got Riverside County. If you are the best at what you do in that county, that's another niche for you right there. Now, let's switch it up, because, California, we have a lot of ethnic minorities. It just is what it is, right? So take advantage of it. I'm obviously Korean, so I can sort of, go towards that niche. I even partnered up with the PNC agency that's Korean, and a Brazilian agency that happens to be ethnically Korean, the agents. So just sort of like, even though my Korean is terrible, don't say that thank God this is the agents page and not the client page.
Keep them off this video.
Yeah. So yeah, make sure you guys are staying with your niche. That you can lead gen so well. The conversation is so much more smoother when they can identify with what you are. If you're in the Latino market, if you're in the Filipino market, if you're in the Armenian market, if you're in the Persian market, the Jewish, I guess, the Israeli or the American Jews, like whatever it is, right? Just be a beacon, just niche down on that. And it's just an easier conversation and more, less vetting you as an agent and asking you all these questions about why they should work with you. If you give them enough information and you do yourself or you make yourself presentable as the professional, like you really know your stuff, then they're going to gravitate towards you. There's no question, right? You're checking off two boxes. You're the professional and you're one of them.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. I want to spend some time talking about, you're obviously somebody that's working with a lot of agents right now. You're mentoring agents. You're kind of helping them kind of build their businesses. Of course, there's a lot of agents in California that need help. And, in my opinion, I think there's a lot of agents that are going to see this video that are needing some guidance and they're needing some mentorship. I wanted to kind of spend some time just having that conversation about, like, what is it like for an agent to work with Andrew Lee, right? Because I feel like it is, to me, the best place that somebody in California could be. It's the best alignment that somebody in California could have right now, is working with you, because you know your market. You have the boots on the ground. You know what it's like to do business there, and you know how it's unique. You know how to sell. You've been a top producer. Like you check every box that an agent's going to need to help build them up, if they're willing to do the work, of course. That there's always, no mentor can do it for you. But what is it like for an agent to work with Andrew? What does that experience look like?
It's daisies, it's roses, it's yeah. Well, so working with me, well, I think my biggest thing is I'm naturally empathetic. So I can already sort of tell what an agent's going through before, they even decide to, work with me. I already sort of know what they need. It's like, okay, so you have a lot of time. So let's do this XYZ to get you some leads, and let's get you up to a position where you can start spending money on your advertising, or, whatever it is. But yeah, I'm empath, right? Like I feel what you feel, so if you're ever in a situation where you have a question with me, if you're happy with, your success, I'm happy for you. I'm the number one cheerleader on the Slack groups. Like, hey, you did great this week. Like, exclamation, 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 exclamation. We celebrate our victories, but at the same time, we strategize, and we make sure we're strategizing specifically for what you're going to be, your strengths, basically, like what you're going to be good at. It's really hard to tell people what to do when it's just so far off from what their strengths are. And they're just like, okay, I'll just do this because so-and-so did it. We're all different, and we all could have different strategies. So that's what I mean by being empathetic. it works great with clients, obviously, because that, I get it, what I'm saying? I get their situation. And it's the same with agents, I've been there, I remember when I had $600 to my name, right? I had $600 to my name. I needed to, again, do anything I can to be successful. And a lot of agents were in my same situation. And this wasn't even that long ago, by the way. So I remember
Yeah.
this like it was yesterday, like literally a couple hours ago. I remember this like it was, you know, it was so recent, and I can very much like empathize with what they're going through. Like, oh crap, I gotta do this, I gotta set aside X amount of money. My goal when I first started was $750 every 2 weeks, 1,500 a month, and I could live off of that barely, but I can. And, the government's just going to have to wait because I can't pay you right now. Right. So then what happens? Then I have a mentality where I'm like, man, call it anguish, call it, being competitive against yourself, call it all of the above. But that's what, got me successful is just me like just being a dog. I had to be a dog. I had to be a dog for myself. I had to be a dog for the people around me, and I had full awareness. I had full understanding of that, of my responsibilities. So that's just one thing about just having to be, the person that I wanted to be is just I had to do anything. So I get where agents are coming from. Is that's what I'm trying to say is I
Yeah.
get if you are in a situation where you don't have money to pay for leads, or you're like your back's against the wall and you're like, I'm trying to quit, or I'm crying. Like I've cried like a couple of times in my career. I'm not gonna lie, right?
Me
Blood,
too. Me
tears,
too.
sweats. You know what I'm saying? And that's the amount of passion you need to be at. Everybody's been there if they're successful. We've all gone through
Yeah.
our anguishes. We only talk about sometimes, we'll brag about going on a carrier trip and here and there, but listen, most of it is just a lonely place, right? And working with me, that's the thing. Like, I just don't want you to be lonely. You don't have to do this by yourself. Let's have some teamwork, and I'll be there for you. Just make sure I can, like you said perfectly, I can get you to the door, but I'm gonna need you to cross over. So of course I can, get you all the information you need, mentor you on, whatever you need to get started. But then again, we also, want you guys to succeed. So then that's 50% of your agreement is, doing the work. So that's the
Yeah.
magic sauce. Again, just hard work and grit, determination, and know-how, and you're good to go.
Yeah. I think to me in our business, I think all of the best leaders have been in the shoes of the people that they're trying to help. Like, and I think that is pivotal, to really, for anybody that's watching this, if you're seeking a mentor guide, you need to be seeking somebody out that has done what you want to do, number one, and number two, that they have been in your shoes before. Like if they're like a professional recruiter, they've never sold, and you want to sell, there's going to be a disconnect there. um,
Yeah.
if maybe there's so many scenarios. I don't want to go over too many, but like there's so many scenarios, like unless there's somebody that has really had to build up their business from the ground up, starting at ground zero, they're not really going to know what you're going through, and they're not really going to be able to guide you in the right way. That's why I think Andrew's such a great choice for anybody that's in California that's needing guidance and needing mentorship. And one thing I wanted to mention was, what Andrew and not just Andrew, but Andrew and his group and his team are building in California is really special. I think anybody that gets along for the ride is going to have to hang on tight, because that train is moving quickly and you don't want to be left behind. So like if you're in California and you're just not feeling like you have any direction, if you're not happy where you're at, if you just feel like you need some real high level training, Andrew Lee is the guy for you. And yeah, I mean, you guys need to be making sure that you're not just camping yourselves in organizations that aren't giving you the time of day.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I see this too much. And, you know, so in California, I think one of the biggest things as to why I started that group was, well, one, I wanted to get referral partners with other PNC agents. Again,
Yeah.
that's selfishly. But two, I wanted to get to know what everybody's deal in California was, because everybody feels like a lonely island out here. Well, one, we're ostracized by the rest of the country, so that's loneliness in itself. But two, there's so many dang big like FMOs out here, and they're so big, they don't have a boutique feel. They're so big that they don't know who their agents are, and vice versa, and there's no communication, and there's no training, and there's no actual connection with you and your upline. And your upline is supposed to be your sales therapist if you're going through a bad day of calling, your not director, marketing mentor. You should definitely know how to have 3 or 4 ways of how to market,
Yeah.
and five, I see too many people that are, again, a lot of orphans out here, and just a lot of big name companies, and they're sort of left behind. So, that's exactly what happened to me. I was an orphan for a long time. For a long time, I've been burned by other FMOs. I've been through the ringer. So that's why I just sort of had trust issues and didn't really, I was alone. But then again, you can't do anything alone. It's just real talk.
Yeah.
It's so hard to just challenge. You'll be stagnated on a certain amount of income no matter how good you are. Let's just be real. And it's just that's just sort of what happens. So yeah, if you guys are ever in that situation, yeah, at the very least, like, we can have a conversation where I can, I've anybody in my group, even if they're not with my hierarchy at all, I'm still doing right by them and just giving them what I know, right? Just because that's how I was taught, when I started going to conferences and or carrier trips as well too. So conventions, that's the number one thing I noticed is there's like everybody that's doing well has nothing to lose and just everything to give, because at this point, again, like I said, like when I first started in the industry, that's what happened to me. So I have no problems divulging any information that you guys need at any point. That's just my way of giving back, and that's just sort of what I have to do.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think there's a lot of truth to be said about groups that are too big, because agents can easily feel like they're slipping through the cracks and they're forgotten. You guys don't need to be feeling that. I think what we're looking at right now and what Andrew's got building in California right now is the startup. You're in the startup processes. So like, think about being on the ground floor of something. That is probably one of the best times to get involved in something, because then you can build with it, you can grow with it, and then imagine what you'll be able to see in 5 years from now, and that growth, you'll be able to ride that wave of growth with the organization that you're working with. And so I think it's a great opportunity for anybody in California. Andrew, where is the best place for people to find you? Right, let's say they watch the video and what we talked about and kind of what you shared in terms of your knowledge just really resonated with somebody. Where's the best place for them to find you and connect?
Yeah, well, hey, feel free to give me a call, 323-844-8471. Call me, text me. My email is andrew@healthmutualnetwork.com. I also have the California Insurance Agents group page. If you guys are specifically in California and you guys are watching this, make sure you guys look up California Insurance Agents Group. Pretty straightforward, and I can't believe I got that name. Nobody else took it.
Yeah, great.
Just look that up. It has a California flag on it, and it has a logo in neon. And go ahead, and I'm the admin, so you can tell. So go ahead and join that group, and that's where all the knowledge and fun is. That's where we're sharing a lot of things about California, and that's where a lot of the also there's a YouTube channel that we have for the group as well too, same name, California Insurance Agents Group. So if you guys want to check those videos out for California specific content, you definitely can find me over there too.
I love it. Guys, if you guys want to check out the Facebook group or the YouTube channel, we're going to link both of them in the description of the video. So you can check them out down below and head over and make sure that you're following Andrew on both YouTube and in the Facebook group. Brother, I could talk to you all day.
Right.
There's a wealth of knowledge. I appreciate
fun.
your time and you coming on and sharing all the great tips and all the great information that you shared. And yeah, I hope this helps somebody that really needs to hear this information, because I know there's lots of people out there that are struggling right now, and this is the type of content that they need.
Yeah, definitely. And hey, guys, if you do find yourself joining the group and you're in California, if you're in Southern California on July 26th on a Wednesday, we're doing actually a meetup. So if you guys are in the area, we're going to be in Old Town Pasadena at 12 p.m. with Todd Tippett's, a friend of the I don't know if you ever had him on the podcast. You have him on a bunch of trainings, but he's the
Yeah.
president of Standard Life, a Manhattan Life company. So he'll be out there too, which is a big deal. So
Yeah,
um,
Todd is the man. Todd is super
yes,
smart, super knowledgeable. So that'll be an opportunity for you guys to get some FaceTime with Todd. Yeah, that's great. I had the pleasure of going to one of those meetings myself, and it was a great time. I got to meet a lot of really cool people. It was a lot of fun. It was just a cool environment, cool atmosphere, and so yeah, guys, I wish I could go to every single one of them, to be honest with you.
right, man, you're welcome too. It's
If
only
I
an hour
didn't,
and a half flight.
if I lived in California, I'd be at every single one.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
But yeah,
But you're
guys,
in Utah.
yeah. Andrew, thank you, my friend. I appreciate
Yeah, thank
appreciate your
you.
time. And guys, reach out to this guy if you're needing some guidance, needing some help. And we'll see you next time. If you guys enjoyed this video, let us know it by smashing the like button. Comment your thoughts down below. Did you like the video? Did you not like the video? I want to hear either way. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any videos. And we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And here's to your success and your abundance. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Christian.